best part of any meal. Today we're going to be making cheesecake cupcakes with a salted caramel topping. Now the cheesecakes are pretty basic, so you could really add any topping you wanted. It's getting close to fall and caramel reminds me of fall, so that's why I chose to make the salted caramel topping, but you could top them with berries, you could top it with chocolate, lemon curd. You could do all kinds of creative things with just the basic cheesecake cupcake. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is I have my oven preheating on 350 and we're going to make the crust. So what we need is 15 sheets of graham crackers, and I'm going to make my graham cracker crumbs in my food processor. So I'm just going to break those up a little bit. And my puppies are probably going to go crazy because they do not like the food processor. I don't know why, but they just don't like the noise. There's 9, 11, and 15. We have 15 sheets of graham crackers, and to that we are going to go ahead and add our sugar. 3 tablespoons of sugar. So let's go ahead and no Monty. Sorry. Got a few in there that still need to. Pretty good. And to that we are going to add 7 tablespoons of melted butter. So we're just going to go ahead and put that in with our graham cracker crumbs and process that until it's all of the graham cracker crumbs and the butter are incorporated together. And if you don't want to use your food processor for that part, it's fine. You could pour your graham cracker crumbs in a bowl and then add the melted butter and just mix it with a spoon. That's fine too. It all works. Okay, so I'm going to move this away a little bit. And I've prepared 2 cupcake tins. This recipe will make 24, so I've prepared 2 with cupcake liners. And all you're going to do is take about a tablespoon or so of your graham cracker mixture, put it in the bottom of your cupcake liner, and just kind of press it down. You want about a tablespoon and a half or so, depending on how thick you like your crust. You can use the back of the spoon or your fingers, whatever you like to use. You just want to kind of press it in there pretty good. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and finish these, and then I'm going to pop them into a 350-degree oven for about 5 minutes, and then I'm going to take them out, let them cool while we make our filling. Hi guys, welcome back. My cupcakes with the graham cracker crust have been cooling for a few minutes. I did want to mention that the recipe that I'm using gives you enough graham cracker crumb mixture to do up to 2 tablespoons per cupcake. So it just kind of depends on how thick you like your crust and how far up the sides you want to take it. I would do at least a tablespoon, but you can do up to 2 tablespoons per cupcake. So now we're going to start on our filling. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take, have a 1.5 cups of sugar here, and to the sugar we're going to add 3 tablespoons of flour. And I want to kind of mix that together first before we start adding it into our cream cheese. So I just take a whisk and kind of whisk it together so it's incorporated and it's not lumpy or anything. I did want to mention that when you're making cheesecake, it's really important that your cold ingredients come to room temperature, especially the cream cheese. If you don't let them come to room temperature, you will have lumpy cheesecake, and no one wants to eat a lumpy cheesecake. So it's really important to sit it out on your counter. I measure everything out, and then I let everything sit out for at least an hour. Some of it depends on the warmth of your kitchen. It's kind of a cool day here, so mine's been sitting out a little bit longer than that. But at least an hour, you want your cold ingredients to sit and kind of warm up a little bit. So now we're going to take our we've got 4 bricks of cream cheese that we're going to put in our bowl. These are so fun to make and so great for a party or a get-together. Everybody gets their own little individual cheesecake. It's kind of nice. And it's even nice, I like to make them, my kids love for me to make them, and just keep them in the refrigerator. That way they don't have to mess with cutting a piece of cheesecake. It's already individually ready for them. So they just go to the refrigerator, grab one, and they're good to go. It makes it nice and easy. Alright, so 4 bricks of cream cheese. And to that, we are going to add our sugar and flour mixture. Put that in there. And I recommend using a stand mixer for this. If you don't have one, that's fine, but a stand mixer makes things a little bit easier. So we're going to start on low and let it kind of incorporate together. And then I'm going to raise the speed a little bit to a low medium. And you really want your sugar to get incorporated into your cream cheese. And you want the cream cheese to be nice and creamy. So like I said, if you haven't let it come up to room temperature, it'll be lumpy. It will never get creamy until it warms up some. And I'm going to turn it up to a medium for about 30 seconds or so. This stuff is really important if you want a nice creamy cheesecake. Okay, I'm going to turn that off and I'm going to scrape down my bowl. And this part is also really important to kind of scrape everything down. I don't think I said, but I am using my paddle attachment. You want to get on the bottom of your bowl because we don't want any lumps in our cheesecake. Alright, I've loosened everything up with my spatula, and I'm just going to turn it back on for about another 30 seconds or so. About a medium speed. The next ingredient we're going to use is 4 eggs. And what we're going to do while our mixer is on a medium-low speed is we're going to start adding our eggs one at a time. And you're going to let each one incorporate before you add the next one. I'm going to go ahead and add one. mixed in, so now we're going to add the second one. And the third one. And the fourth one. And then I'm going to, before that's completely incorporated, I'm going to stop the mixer and I'm going to scrape everything down again, and you want to make sure to get all the way down to the bottom of your bowl. Scrape off your paddle attachment. And then I'm going to turn it back on for about another 30 seconds to make sure all the eggs have fully incorporated into the cream cheese and sugar. And it should look very creamy at this point. Less than 30 seconds, but I felt like it was all really incorporated. So the next thing we're going to add is a half a cup of sour cream. And a half a cup of heavy whipping cream. And then my favorite part, vanilla. Now I love vanilla, so I add quite a bit. I add a whole tablespoon. If you don't like that much, you can feel free to add however much you like. I would add at least a teaspoon, 2 teaspoons, but if you really, really like vanilla, a tablespoon is the way to go. So we've got that in there. Okay, and now we're going to give it one last mix. And I'm going to scrape the bowl again. And again, scraping the bowl is really important if you want a nice, creamy cheesecake. And another 30 seconds or so, and we're good to go. Okay, we are good. Everything is fully incorporated. The filling is very creamy. It looks delicious and it smells really good too. That vanilla is just amazing. And I highly, highly, highly recommend that you use pure vanilla extract. No imitation stuff. It really makes a difference. Now, what I like to do with cheesecakes is I just take the bowl and kind of tap it on the counter a few times to release any air bubbles. If you don't like that sound, you can use a towel. But tapping it helps to get out any air bubbles, so your cheesecake is nice and creamy. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to get one of our cupcake tins. And I love using an ice cream scoop for this. This also works really well for cupcakes. So we're just going to take an ice cream scoop and pretty much fill it up. And then you'll have pretty even cheesecakes. If you can see that okay. Another nice thing about the cheesecake cupcakes, because they are already in individual servings, it's a lot easier to not overindulge. A little bit of portion control there. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and finish filling up my cheesecake, my cups. And then I'm gonna put them in a 350-degree oven for 18 to 22 minutes. A lot of it's gonna depend on how hot your oven bakes. But what you're looking for is you want the edges to start looking like they're fairly done. The center can still jiggle some. We don't want it to be uncooked, but you want it to have a little bit of jiggle to it. If the tops of your cheesecakes start to crack, you've overbaked it. And overbaked cheesecake is never good. You're almost better off to underbake as opposed to overbake when it comes to cheesecake, because they will sit up in there when you put them in the refrigerator. So keep an eye on your cheesecakes. Look for the edges to be nice and set, and when you wiggle your pan, it should jiggle just a little bit in the center. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to finish filling them, put them in the 350-degree oven, and for about, I'm going to start timing at 18 minutes. 18 minutes, I'm going to check them and see if they're getting close to being done, and then we're going to take them out and let them cool for about an hour, and I'll bring you back. Okay guys, I wanted to bring you in close so you could see more of what I'm referring to. If you touch the pan and kind of move it around, I hope you can see. See how the edges are set, but your middles jiggle a little bit? That's what we're looking for. These are really close to coming out. So I would say another 30 seconds or so. See the jiggling? But our edges are pretty well set. So I'm going to let them go for another 30 seconds or a minute, and then I'm going to take mine out. But that's what you're looking for. Okay, I'll bring you back. Okay guys, I took my cheesecake cupcakes out of the oven. I hope you were able to see well enough how they were set on the sides but still jiggly in the middle. That's what we're looking for. You don't want them brown at all, not even golden brown. If you've gone that far, you've gone too far. So anyway, I'm going to let them cool for about an hour. Actually, I'm going to let them cool for about 15-20 minutes or so, and then I'm going to take them out of the muffin tins or the cupcake pans, because if you let them sit in there too long, the bottoms of them can get soggy. So in about 15-20 minutes, I'm going to take them out of the cupcake pan and just put them on a sheet pan, and so they can have some air around them and they won't get wet on the bottom. And then after they've completely cooled for about an hour, we're going to put them in the refrigerator for at least 2 hours. So when I pop them in the fridge, I'm going to come back and show you how to make a delicious salted caramel sauce to go on top. All right, I'll bring you back. Okay guys, welcome back. Our cheesecake cupcakes are in the fridge chilling, and so while we're letting them chill, we want to let them chill for at least 2 hours. So while they're in there doing their thing, we're going to do the fun part, which is make the caramel. Now, if you've made caramel before, you know that it's a little bit fussy. If you've never made caramel before, then you need to just make sure that you read up on caramel and you follow the instructions I'm going to give you here, and then it'll turn out. I've made it quite a few times. I've had several fails, unfortunately, but I think I've got it down, and there are lots of recipes out there. You can certainly use a different recipe. There's all kinds of easy recipes that people use with sweetened condensed milk and doing it in the crock pot and all that kind of thing. I like making the real deal, so that's what we're doing here, but you're certainly welcome to use another recipe if you prefer. So what you want to do is make sure you have all of your ingredients ready before you start. So what I've got here is a 1.5 cups of granulated sugar that I've added 1/4 cup of water plus 2 tablespoons. 1/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons of water. And then I have 3/4 cup of heavy whipping cream. And I have 6 tablespoons of salted butter. So you want to make sure you have all that ready close to where you're working before you ever get started. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn our heat up on a medium-high heat. We're going to dissolve the sugar and dissolve the sugar in the water, and then once your sugar dissolves, you get rid of the whisk. No more whisking. I made the mistake of doing that once, and I ended up with burnt, crusty sugar. I don't really understand the whole science behind it, but your water evaporates and you're left with nothing but sugar crystals, and it's a big mess. So you don't want to do that. So once your sugar dissolves, get rid of the whisk, and all you're going to do is every so often you're just going to swirl your pan a little bit. No stirring, no spoon, or no nothing. You just want to swirl your pan every now and then. What we're looking for is for our sugar syrup to get to a dark amber color. And once it starts turning color, that can happen pretty quickly. 1 second it can be too light, and 2 seconds later it can be just right or almost too dark. And I've made the mistake before of letting it go too far that direction also, and then your caramel sauce tastes kind of burnt. And you don't want that either. So it is a delicate balance. We're looking for a dark amber color, and hopefully we'll get that today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the camera in close, so you won't be able to see me. I don't have a wide angle lens, but I'm going to bring you in close so you can see what the sugar syrup looks like and what's going on in my pan, because that's what's most important. Okay guys, I think I brought you in close enough that you can see pretty well what's going on in my pan. I have my heat cranked up on a medium-high heat, and we're just going to whisk until the sugar dissolves in our water. Again, it was 1.5 cups of sugar, 1/4 cup, and 2 tablespoons of water. And we're just going to stir that until the sugar dissolves. How it's starting to boil here. Our sugar's not quite dissolved the whole way, so we're good still to stir. And once it comes up to a boil here, you want to be on about a medium-high heat. Once it starts boiling like that, get rid of your whisk. You don't want to whisk it anymore. And we're going to let that bubble and bubble and bubble until our sugar syrup starts to turn light amber, and then it'll be medium amber, and then very quickly it'll be a dark amber color, and that's what we're looking for. Also, when you're working with sugar syrup, you want to be really careful. It's really easy to get burned if you splash yourself with it or would drop your pan or whatever. It's really hot and you can get a severe burn, so you need to be careful when you're working with sugar syrup. Okay, so every now and then we're just going to swirl our pan like that. And this process takes about 5 minutes or so. You want to make sure you use a heavy bottomed saucepan. Alright, I'm going to let this go, swirl my pan about every 45 seconds or so. Once the sugar starts turning color, I'll bring you back. Okay guys, we're between 7 and 8 minutes with our sugar syrup boiling like this, and it's starting to change just a little bit. So at this point, when it starts turning, this is when you want to really watch it and get ready. What we're going to do next, once it gets to that dark amber color that we're looking for, we're going to add our butter. Then we're going to after the butter melts, we're going to turn off the heat, wait 3 seconds or so, and then we're going to pour in our heavy cream and whisk, whisk, whisk. So can you see the color changing going on? We're at a light amber right now, and we've been going for 8 minutes. And when you're doing this, you do not want to walk away from your pan at all. From beginning to end, you want to stay with the pan, watch what's going on, because it starts happening fast. You can see here, it's changing colors. And right now, we are at about a medium amber color. We're looking for dark. If you don't wait long enough, your caramel doesn't have enough flavor, but on the flip side, if you wait too long, then it tastes burnt. So there's a fine line there, so you really gotta watch it. And we're getting very, very close here. I'm gonna get my whisk ready, and I can smell it. It's starting to smell like caramel. Yum! Okay, get your butter ready. I think we're just a couple more seconds here. And our butter is going to go in. We're going to carefully whisk in your butter until it's completely melted. And I'm going to turn the heat off there. See how it bubbles up? All right, our butter's nice and melted, and now we're going to add our cream, and it's going to bubble up some more. And you want to whisk, whisk, whisk. Ah, beautiful. It smells so good. It looks so good. And I think we have a winner here. Whisk it till it's nice and smooth. Perfect. See how beautiful? What a lovely color that is. That's perfect. It's exactly what we wanted. Oops. Okay, our caramel syrup is all done. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to pour it into this pretty glass dish. Now, you can pour it in any glass container you want, but we want it to fully cool, and it won't cool in the pan as quickly as we'd like. So pour it in a glass container of some sort. Isn't that gorgeous? So pretty. Perfect. And again, be very, very careful with it because it's hot and you can easily get burnt, but I just want to show it to you up close because it's just so darn pretty. See, that's perfect. That's exactly what we wanted. Okay, so we're going to let that cool. Our cupcakes are in the fridge, chilling out. Our caramel sauce is over here cooling, and when everything is done chilling and cooling, I will bring you back and show you how to put it all together. Okay guys, our caramel sauce has completely cooled, and our cheesecakes were chilling in the fridge for over 2 hours. You can certainly chill them over, making them up a day ahead and chill them overnight. That's perfectly fine, but I wanted to show you how beautiful they are. Once everything's all ready, you just put a dollop of the caramel sauce on top, and then I just sprinkled a little bit of pink Himalayan salt because that's what I have on hand, but if you wanted to make it really fancy, you could use fleur de sel or a coarse sea salt. You just want a coarse salt of some sort. to sprinkle across the top. And like I said, you can totally leave the caramel part off, but it is really, really delicious. And I just wanted to show you how creamy. See how creamy? Really, really decadent. Creamy. You get the sweetness of the caramel sauce on top and just a little bit of the saltiness at the end. Absolutely delicious. Now if you want to make these up to take to a party, just make sure everything's completely cold, your cheesecakes for sure, and just put a little dollop of your caramel sauce on top, and at the very end, or when you're getting ready to serve them, just then do your salt. But I'm sure it'll be a crowd pleaser. I hope you'll give the recipe a try. And one of the best parts about this recipe is you don't need all that sauce for your cheesecakes. So that means you have leftovers. You can put it in your coffee, you can spoon it over ice cream, or just enjoy it straight out of the jar. Just make sure you store it in the fridge. So I hope you give this recipe a try. Even though caramel can be a little bit fussy if you've never tried it, I hope you will give it a try. Don't shy away from it just because it can be a little bit intimidating. It really is fun to make, and if you make a mistake, you make a mistake. You learn from your mistakes, and that's part of what cooking and baking is all about, is about learning. And anyway, I hope you'll give it a try. I hope you enjoyed coming along with me today. If you enjoyed this recipe, give me a thumbs up, like and subscribe to my channel, and thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.